Let's begin showing you how the concept processor works using a common encounter in primary care. A patient that comes in with a simple case of acute pharyngitis. I examine the patient and find that she has a fever and an inflamed pharynx. I also take a quick throat screen and find it positive for strep. She is allergic to penicillin, so I decide to treat her with erythromycin. The first step to be taken is to find the closest encounter in my system. A Praxis user may start from any point except the history. In this case, I choose to begin with the prescription. These are the medications used in my practice by frequency of presentation, with the most frequent medication always shown at the top. You will be able to see at a glance the drugs you use most often. To quickly locate any drug, I press the first letter of its name. For example, if I want to prescribe amoxicillin, I type the letter A, and if I still don't see it, I just press M. In this case, I select erythromycin, and Praxis goes into its artificial intelligence engine and looks for every single time I've used erythromycin on any patient, disclosing all the diagnoses applied for those encounters, again, by frequency of presentation, with acute pharyngitis heading the list. Of course, I don't treat acute pharyngitis in just one way. I treat it in many different ways. In fact, you might treat it in more ways than I do. The important thing is that you don't do anything randomly. You have your reasons. You might disagree with a colleague about a diagnosis or procedure, but you will never disagree with yourself. That personalized aspect of medicine is enhanced with the Praxis EMR. So, to find the closest encounter, or the closest way that I have handled pharyngitis in relation to the way I need to do it now, I simply click on the diagnosis and I immediately get a second list. These are personal keywords, each representing different types of encounters of acute pharyngitis I have treated in the past with erythromycin. Not shown in this list are the many more ways acute pharyngitis has been treated in the past without the use of erythromycin. I am now narrowing down to my closest encounter. Of course, because I created each of these keywords in the past, I know exactly what they represent, and so will you with your lists. I click on allergic, and Praxis reconstructs the entire closest encounter for me instantly. You can see that not only was the physical exam done instantly, but in fact my entire case, including any procedures, prescriptions, instructions to the patient, and so on, are also there, ready to print out. I'm almost done. Now that I have the closest encounter on the screen, let's go to part 2, how to edit it. This is the point where I do look at the history. The history, no matter how complex, is divided into symptoms, each one being a phrase with clarifying information or random variables such as the one we are looking at now. All I need to do here is to change the random variable by selecting options derived from previous cases. In addition, because these statements came from seeing other patients with similar conditions, many previously taken symptoms may not be germane in my patient today. If I do not highlight any symptom now, it will not be active. Only the things that I highlight will be printed today and will be saved in this patient's record. However, you can't forget to think of all the previously listed symptoms for these and future patients. Hence, the quality of history you will take is actually improved. Your own chart will prompt you to ask the right questions and check for the appropriate findings. The last logical possibility is that this patient, who I am seeing with acute pharyngitis allergic to penicillin, presents with a symptom I've never thought of asking about before. If I enter it now, I will also have it forever for use with other patients. You can see how the quality of history taking improves over time as you see more patients. While on the subject of data entry, you should know that typing is not your only option. You may also use speech or handwriting recognition, or even dictation transcription to enter text. Of course, the more you use Praxis, the less text you need to add no matter what method you use for actual data entry. For those rare cases where you do not know what history to start with, we have included a discussion on this topic in the frequently asked questions. Now at this point, I will exit the history, and the rest of the case is very straightforward. Everything, including the plan, is already done for me exactly the way I did it last time for my closest patient. Now all I need to do is change whatever is not appropriate for this encounter, and I'm done. Notice that this is a well-developed, well-nourished female. If this had been a male, all the females get automatically turned into males, all the ladies into gentlemen's, and all the she's into he's. In this case, I do wish to enter the fact that the patient was strep positive, and this is very easy to do. Notice also that Praxis shows every abnormal description in bold. In this case, the patient did have nasal congestion, and that's very easy to change. This is a description that I had used before with another case. Now, moving into the prescription, I want to treat the nasal congestion as well, so I decide to use Sudafed. I've used Sudafed in the past, so, again, it's very easy to select it. If I had not used it previously, I could easily find it from the full drug pharmacopoeia that comes with Praxis. Of course, all these medications will be printed in separate prescriptions as soon as I finish the note. It's important for us to take a look at the patient instructions. Simply clicking on them will show us the separate text that will turn into a handout that prints out when I'm done here. I am basically done with all of my documentation, and now I save it and print everything that I need. I click on Save with Knowledge, and I am immediately prompted for a change in my assessment. This is very interesting. Note that the diagnosis would remain the same, acute pharyngitis. However, I may add a new keyword of my choice, such as congested. Indeed, this automatically creates a new variation on my standard treatment for acute pharyngitis for a patient who also presents with nasal congestion. When a patient is congested, I will also describe the history, physical findings, and add Sudafed. The number and kinds of keywords can be as large as I wish, but they all remain invisible from the rest of the world. The world will only see the words acute pharyngitis, but I will find this variation in the future with great ease. In fact, acute pharyngitis will now be an option when I select nasal congestion for other patients or when I prescribe Sudafed. This is neural network thinking, and this is exactly how our minds work. For congested allergic patients, not only would I give the previous medications, but I would also describe the congestion, and I would treat it with Sudafed as I've just done. It is as simple as that. Praxis has learned my way of thinking, and it can learn your way of thinking. Okay, let's save the case now. And this is the report generator, which automates everything else. It prints the prescriptions and other documents as taken from the SOAP note, such as the handouts you can give your patient, and it even intelligently superbills any encounter, as you will see later on. In addition, you may sign this note electronically so it cannot be altered, and we're done. Of course, with a bit of experience, this entire procedure you have seen can be done in under 40 seconds. Okay, let's see our next patient.